Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Gail Fugate.
Okay, so thank you so much for heading out to the concurrent sessions. I know there were some great presentations. I think we're going to have a little drifting in, but I hope that people don't miss this next section. It's going to be equally fun, provocative, and interesting as much of the day has been so far. So it's now really exciting for me to introduce Stephen Wolfe Pereira. He's the CMO of Datalogix. And this next section is about translating big data into big decisions. And it's not really about big data for its own sake, but it's actually about how to optimize big data into better marketing decisions. And it's really our pleasure on the ARF board to be expanding our board into growth companies and also to have someone who's a CMO. And so it's really a great delight to have Stephen on our board as the CMO of Datalogix. In his role, he has global responsibility for Datalogix brand advertising, corporate communications, product and vertical marketing initiatives. In addition, he also leads Datalogix global agency partnerships and development. Prior to that, he was EVP and Managing Director at Starcom MediaVest Group Publicis, and he's also held leadership positions at firms including Univision Communications and Akamai Technologies. What I want to say about Stephen is he's truly passionate. He's passionate about the consumer. He's passionate about diversity. He's passionate about making a difference. He's a fantastic speaker. He's a connector. He will connect us to some really fun, interesting, provocative, and meaningful material this afternoon. And he also has brought his CEO, Eric Rosa, and who I promise you is also going to equally supercharge the afternoon. So please join me in welcoming Stephen Wolfe Pereira.
Okay. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. All right, a little more energy. This is supposed to be fun after lunch. Buenas tardes. Okay, that's getting a little better. I'm really excited. It is an honor to be here at the ARF, and it's really exciting to have two thought leaders in the industry from the business side. To my left, we have Jen Menace. Jen is the head of media and communications at Post Foods, and to her left is Yong, who is the SVP of Digital Group Client Director at MediaVest, overseeing digital at on the Honda business. And Jen, I'd love to start with you just to really get the client perspective. You know, there's all this talk about big data. There's all this talk about really trying to understand, you know, all the hype around big data. But last time I checked, there really is no vendor partner, agency partner that comes to your office with a bag of big data. You really can't do that much with it. Help us understand, how do you view shifting from big data to data-driven marketing and applying that to your business?
So I think from Post's perspective, we're a pretty small company. So trying to understand big data is really based on what perspective in the company you have. So I'm media. So I try to focus on media-driven solutions. So I'm looking for partners who can help understand that media data, that insight data from a media perspective to help provide a solution versus just buying spots and dots or impressions. To help really solve a problem, understand our business objectives and issues, and try to come up as a partner integrated to come up with a marketing program.
But if I hear what you're saying, the flip side to that is you have a lot of people that aren't coming with solutions. How do people approach your business today?
There's two ways that people approach it. You have really great partners out in the space who really want to understand what's keeping us up at night. What's the problems that we're having, not just as a total company, but as specifically brand by brand. And then you have another set of providers who are really just trying to sell the next shiny object. And I don't have time, nor does our CMO of the company have time for the next shiny object. They want business solutions. They want, we are happy to have conversations about what's keeping us up at night, what are the problems on our businesses, and sit down at the table together with the marketing team, not necessarily the sales team, to come up with a solution that makes sense for us.
It's interesting. It sounds like this whole notion of really understanding your business. Do many people really ask, to have access to your business data? Like, do they sign an NDA with you to kind of ask, to get access?
Some do. I mean, if you get to a point that we feel like you can provide a great solution, we are happy to put NDAs together. We are happy to give our data over to that team to help drive a better solution. But many people don't have, it's literally one email, one phone call after another, just trying to get in the door. And that's fine. I will throw them back to our agency partners like MediaVest to do the analysis. But if you are really able to help us solve a problem, we are happy to turn over data to help us.
So you mentioned your agency partner, Yong. You sit at a really interesting intersection because on the one hand, you have all the client demands. And clients are being certainly more challenged than ever. They need to show results. They need to show that their dollar invested in media is driving the business. But you also have the whole kind of partner community, whether it's all the folks in this room on the analytics and research side, certainly on the media side. What do you see your role kind of sitting between the vendor community and the client?
Yeah, we're essentially brokers and been known to be brokers in this community.
The mic on?
He's on.
There you go.
Hello?
That work?
Hi.
Just yell really loud so everyone can hear you.
Sorry.
See, they didn't want to hear from the agency yet. It was only the client.
We've been known as, being brokers in the space. I can see a general trend in the evolution of our business, not just digital, but all digital, all media. And the conversations have gotten much harder. And what I mean by that is, I'm living it now, which is, we're in an agency. It is, this thing called the pitch we have, right? It is, 20 business stakeholders on the client side. You have an hour to explain your case, bring everybody in anything you can to win this business because there's another competitor behind you. I use this model to say to the supplier community the same thing. I think what has to happen is the evolution of our space has taken place in the last 5 to 7 years. There has not been really an evolution in meetings. And what I mean by that is, typically right now on the agency side, you just have salespeople that come to the forefront, meet with the agencies and kind of what it is. I think that has to change. I think you have to bring different people in the meeting. Just like how the agency kind of has to stack up front lines when we go into these meetings for the clients, because there is no more follow-up. You kind of get one shot at this. So, I explain, I don't even meet with salespeople anymore. I meet with the marketers and I meet with the product folks at the supply side. Because I want to know what they're thinking, I want to know what their roadmap is. I want to know, really, people in the back of the house, those are the people that are building it, and how do I partner with that for the client business? And that's a really important thing.
So it sounds like you'd rather talk to a lot of people in this room as opposed to the folks that are just giving you the sales pitch.
Yeah, I generally request the salespeople, instead of cupcakes, they bring the analytics folks, the research folks, the product folks, the people that can actually know the day-to-day what that product is and how it could help the agency and the clients.
So, it sounds like we're getting to this point where the whole idea of media in of itself is really not the end. It's the means to an end. But the end is really on the business, right? Focused on sales. And how do you really start divorcing audiences from media so that you can focus on where are those folks that are going to drive my business? Where are those buyers of my products? Honey Bunches of Oats, Fruity Pebbles, honeycombs. Like, you want to find those buyers and put ads in front of those folks as opposed to just buy media. Is that right, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of struggle internally because, not struggle, but we have two different, our targets range from 6-year-olds to 106-year-olds. And like as I was mentioning before, on post-shredded wheat, I try to buy the cheapest cable I can, television I can for the business. The many eyeballs I can get, women 55 plus, is going to move boxes of cereal. That's not the case on a honeycomb when I'm targeting tweens on Instagram. There's different objectives for every brand. There's different media that we have to focus on. And the insights for shredded wheat is, don't talk to me like I'm a 55-year-old aging woman. Talk to me like a human. That's a very different insight than from a media insight, where I need to understand, what's not the click-through rate, what's the buy-through rate? And it's a different conversation than if I'm buying spots and dots on television and I'm just doing old school media,
So, we live in this world where everyone has a smartphone, smart cars, we have Apple last week at the developer conference talking about smart home, but we kind of have dumb media. I mean, you just mentioned demo data really being kind of the primary currency for a lot of stuff that you're looking at. And I believe in the power of and. Demo data certainly has a role to play, but in the world of big data, to be a data-driven marketer, you really need to kind of focus on the sales side. Help me understand, how do you think about things outside of just demo data, purchase data, other types of data, and how do you make your media smart?
So, the closer we can link shopper card data to media, it's the strongest link to make sure that we are converting purchases. So if we understand what's been in your shopping cart, if it's been us, if it's been the competitor, it depends on the objective. Are we looking at a buy rate strategy? Are we looking at a penetration strategy? Depending on what's in your shopping cart, that will adjust if we feel like this ad can serve to you versus another. Now, that really is helpful in the digital space. TV's not there yet. We would love TV to get there. We still spend a lot of money in television. It still drives the majority of the volume for the company. But those rich insights, and the closer we can get to that end funnel, the smarter our media buys can get and the more targeted they can be.
And then you're relying on agency partners like a MediaVest. Yong, how are you kind of negotiating with the media community so that you can actually get smarter media? Are you now asking for data? Are you negotiating differently now?
Yeah, I think the data piece is interesting. And to be clear, data does not tell stories, right? People do. Business stakeholders do, and that's a key differentiator. Having a spreadsheet and pivot table full of zeros and ones, it's a different language, and that's why they're specialists. The people that really stand out to people like me, and I guess I'm a little bit different when it comes to that side, because I know that side of the business as well, is I recognize those publishers and suppliers that are thoughtful about my business. Not having a deck where the MediaVest logo was just changed from Mindshare or any other company.
Wait, that happens?
No, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is, for agencies, being on this side, you have to know your audience, right? Going in with a deck of here's what we do and not telling me why, you're going to be out and I'm going to start checking my phone. And by the way, that's a sign clear that you already lost somebody when they start checking their phone. It's not that they're important, they just are bored, right? And they've disengaged. So those people that already come in with, and they don't ask me questions like, what are your goals? Let's get to the point. The goal is to make money, always to make money. Mm-hmm. And backing into how I do it for auto, or how I do it for retail, or how I do it for CPG, you have to know the vertical. In the 100 years of advertising, it hasn't really changed that much, right? Everyone still needs to sell something. But it really is save us time, because I think Jen said it before, it's like, we just don't have time. So I think the more thoughtful you can bring the story, or AKA the sales pitch, that's really meaningful for us.
So you talk about, kind of over the past 100 years that advertising hasn't changed that much. Jen, let me ask you kind of a provocative question. Does MMM still matter in this day and age? How do you approach things like measurement for your business?
We still do MMMs. Recession data, looking at the past doesn't tell me what's going to happen in the future. It's still very traditional-based modeling. It's still very traditional-based media. I want to know if what I'm doing in Instagram and what I'm doing in the mobile space is driving volume for the company. Most modelers come back, sorry, too small. There's not enough impressions. The program was too small. We're not really sure how to read it. going to tell you TV is going to be your highest ROI. Well, it's really hard to sit in your CMO's office or your the president's office and go, well, I really want to take 20% of my dollars and put it into mobile because I think that's where the audience is going and that's going to be the smarter solution in the long term, when short term is telling me put it in cheap day part like daytime. Well, we have to get off the crack, which is daytime. It's the lowest cost per point. I have to move into other channels that are more engaging. And it's really, those models really are tough to use to build the case of why you need to move media, why you need to move your dollars into a smarter place for the long term, because it really only looks at short term, and it looks at historical. Right. Predictive modeling is getting there, but it still doesn't predict, especially against those millennials, what they're gonna do in 6 months, in 18 months. It's really showing what you're doing today, and the data's not rich enough yet.
So you have this kind of bifurcation between proxy-based metrics, which are all around reach, engagement, click-through rates, but then we're hearing a lot more about the whole notion of purchase-based metrics across a different vector. And Yong, like when you talk to the media community, how are you trying to get them to talk about the ways that their media drives sales? Or does that come up at all?
Yeah, it comes up often because that's the question we get asked by clients all the time. They put us under the fire and say, is this driving sales? And we have to answer very concisely and clearly. So I took a different approach this year because I was in my kind of growing up in this digital space and all media, all forms of media in the last 11 years. I love all media, being kind of a digital guy. I still love TV. I have the biggest TV probably on my blog, but I don't think we need to answer the question, does advertising work, right? Every report we ever see, it's positive, right? So I'm going to write a new book, right? It's going to be, the answer is 2, because it's positive, right? The point is, so what? So what if it's 2, and actually, because we know different things work, we have to make sure we have context behind them. What I mean by that is, if everything works, and to the CMO, he's going to ask you a very simple question. It's going to be, where would you put your first dollar, right? Because everyone has budget cuts, everyone has to prioritize dollars, and we all in this room somehow impact that or get affected by that. But if you have no sense of what's approach or strategy is going to really work hardest for you, that's really what data and analytics is great for, right? It's not about what is this one thing driving sales. And now we're into this age of attribution, and companies like Google and AOL are buying companies like that, attribution companies. It's a big deal. So it comes up all the time, and I think we got to get away from, is this one thing driving offline sales? It's really the context of a portfolio, right? Which dollar is working hardest? Do I invest in a tech stock that's pretty volatile, or do I go into a mutual fund or a bond, right? What is safe? Applying different marketing rules like 70-20-10, things like that that's worked, spearheaded by great blue chip companies. It still works today. So.
And Yong, before you worked on the Honda business, which has a different sort of challenges when it comes to measuring sales because of the sales cycle and just the data that's out there. You used to work on the Walmart business, and one of the key challenges, which I'm hearing you say, is the ability to orchestrate, because when you're thinking about how to engage an agency or a client, it really is about your business priorities. So right now, Jen, you're probably thinking about back to school, right? Because that's kind of just the time frame of planning that you are in. But I don't think a lot of folks come to you with a back to school solution. They come with a one-off of, hey, here's some media, buy some media, as opposed to how my media is going to help you with your back to school solution. Where is the disconnect?
I think the disconnect comes in that they're just not even asking the question. They don't even I think they're looking for, just like they're trying to sell something, they're trying to get more money, they're trying to help, manage their own internal budgets, and they're not understanding that if you understand my problem, you come with a solution, the money's just going to flow in your direction. They're not, they are too, in my opinion, short-sighted. Like, we're in this for the long term. I mean, we've been around for 100 some odd years, and we're keep going, and we're in this for the long term. We're trying to turn our businesses around. It's a tough category. We really identify key partners to work with. We can't work with everyone. It's not because we don't want to. We just don't have the resources to do it. And if you're truly in it to win with us, that's a great way to approach it.
So, really a question to both of you. So, in the world where the client's budgets are getting, cut, or you have to do more with less, and the agency really needs to help be the steward of that marketing capital, who should pay for this?
In my opinion, everyone, but mostly it leans on the media partners. Honestly, you have to build your database, you have to build your analytics, you have to build your solution that's going to work for not only the agencies but for the advertisers, because we don't have those dollars, we don't have those resources internally. We are focused on making cereal and selling, like trying to get it out the door. We need to focus our capital on manufacturing, not on data analytics and building, these huge, clouds worth of data. We just don't have that capability. So we need to lean on the media partners to do it, and then in turn, the money will flow in your direction from a sales perspective.
Who should pay for it? The people that have the most to gain, whatever entity that is, whether it be the client, the agency, or the supplier, or the data company. I look at things as, commodities when you walk in, right? Because just like agencies or, service business is commodity, right? You have to prove your worth. And if you prove your worth, you stand out. And you have limited time to do that. So the suppliers that actually come in and are really thoughtful about that piece really stand out. It's for me, that's the best part of the job, where I can meet someone that actually just wants to listen and doesn't just want to bark. We have a new thing, you should do it. It's mobile and social and video at all the same time. So it's awesome. But yeah, those are the people that stand out to us.
So with the remaining amount of time that we have, Jen, what would be kind of the one piece of advice that you'd want to give this room? Because there are a lot of smart people in this room, this analytics community, the research community. These are the folks that you probably really want to engage with. What would be the advice that you would give them so that they could better connect with you?
Ask questions before you come into the first meeting to get as much information as you can about the objectives of the company, the objectives of a specific brand, what's keeping us up at night. Like Yong said, bring the marketing department. That it's tremendous benefit to bring the marketers with
Why?
you. They just see things differently. They understand. I think in my perspective, they're up at night with their own. They understand how things keep you up at night, and their pay base is slightly different. They're not commission-based. Salespeople are still based on commission, so they want to sell every dime, every impression they can. It's just a different, marketers think slightly different. They have different objectives within the overall company, which match closer to what the advertisers' objectives are. They're very similar in nature, just the structure of the program. They're going to be able to be creative. They're able to answer the questions on the spot. They can approve something. They can follow up quicker. They can think about other clients that they have that dealt with the situation. They can provide case studies. The salespeople don't always have that knowledge base. Very seasoned salespeople, yes, but more junior folks don't.
But how about for the analytics folks?
The analytics simplify the data. 18 pages of numbers is going to go over many people's heads. Like, if you can quickly go within 2 pages, the top bullets of what the data points is, it's probably the best approach.
And Yong, how about you? What kind of feedback would you give for this community to be more effective with the agency?
Know your audience. I love the pre-meeting stuff. Treat every meeting as your last, because that's it. No one has time to take other meetings. Don't ask obvious questions, like what are your goals? You should know, because you guys have been around a long time. And be really thoughtful to the client needs and wants, because assume if you're in the same position, you would probably ask the same question. So you can, there's going to be a swing in all of us in this room going to different sides of the fence, right? Some of us will be clients one day, some of us will be suppliers one day, and agencies the next. There's going to be an evolution in the way we think as marketers, so you should also assume that's going to be that meeting. So,
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jen. Thanks, Yong. We really appreciate it. Thank you.